that the Twins have finally committed and settled in to a rebuilding year where we're focusing on the young pieces and the building blocks and not worrying so much about the other outside stuff, and that is a breath of fresh air, I gotta tell you. That's what I've been pleading for all year. Alright, but so let's take a quick look at the Major League Baseball standings, and we'll be done talking baseball for the week. Now, taking a look at the Minnesota Twins division, that being the American League Central, there is currently a two-way tie for first place, with both the Cleveland Indians and the Kansas City Royals having 35 and 30 records. 2 games behind them is the Detroit Tigers, and 2.5 games back is the Chicago White Sox. So you've got a wonderful 4-team competitive back and forth, anybody could take it race going on in the Central, that the Minnesota Twins are the lone team that are not participating in that race. So fantastic for us to watch here in Minnesota. In the American League East, we also have a two-way tie at the top of the division right now. Both the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox are 37 and 27. 2 games behind them are my pick, the Toronto Blue Jays at 37-31. I gotta like that. They're finally gaining steam. Then we got the Rays at 31 and 32, and the Yankees at the bottom of the division now at 31 and 34. Out in the American League West, the Texas Rangers are currently 6 games ahead of second place, comfortably sitting in first. In second place currently is the Seattle Mariners. They're 6 games back, 3 games above 500. The Astros turning it around a little bit. They are 9 games back, 3 games below 500. And then battling it out for last place, you have the lowly Anaheim Angels, who just won 2 or 3 against the Twins to be 28 and 37, and the Athletics at 27 and 37. Now looking out in the National League, starting off in the East, we've got the Nationals 5 games in first place ahead of the second place New York Mets. They're 35 and 29, decent record. 7 games out, still above 500. It would be the Florida Marlins, and then you've got the 30 and 36 Phillies and the 19 and 46, only team worse than the Twins, Atlanta Braves. Out in the West, we've got the Dodgers comfortably in first by 6 games, the Giants, Giants comfortably 6 games in first place, ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers, currently in second place. In third, 1 game below 500, are the Rockies, followed by the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Then out in the Central, the best team in baseball so far all year, the Chicago Cubs, with a commanding 9.5 game lead over second place St. Louis Cardinals, who are 35 and 30, the Pirates at 33 and 32, followed by the Brewers at 30 and 36, and the lowly Cincinnati Reds at 26 and 40. So there is your baseball for the week. All right, so just a couple real quickie small topics here left. Normally, we would probably go to the juggernaut that is the NFL here, where there really isn't a whole lot going on. But instead, we are going to give priority to championship, as we try to here, and we are going to let you know how last week's horse racing race, the big final third leg of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes, and we're going to let you know how that played out. Now, last year in horse racing was excited because we had the first Triple Crown winning horse, that being American Pharoah, for the first time in over 30 years. I want to say it was like 37 years or something like that. This year it felt like we might see another one again with Nyquist, who a lot of people said was even better than American Pharoah. That came crashing to a halt at the Preakness, the second leg, where Nyquist lost to Exaggerator, and then consequently, under muddy conditions, Exaggerator being the best mud horse in the world right now, and then consequently, I believe he got ill or injured shortly thereafter and did not even participate in the third and final leg of the Triple Crown, that being this past weekend's Belmont Stakes. Exaggerator, with expected muddy conditions, went into the week as a heavy favorite again, but in fact he did not win. He came in way down there. Exaggerator came in 11th, freaking 11th. Holy guacamole. Your winning horse was Creator at 14-1 odds, ended up being your winner. Destin was in second place. That was our horse that we had eyes on, other than Exaggerator. In addition to Lonnie, who finished third, we had that horse picked as well. So 2 of the top 3 was our, we had picked here on this show. So pretty proud of that. And then, of course, rounding out the top 5, in 4th place was Governor Malibu. We had no, that wasn't on our radar at all. But then in 5th place, Stradivari was also on our radar. I think I named 4 horses last week: Exaggerator, Destin, Lonnie, and Stradivari. And 3 of those 5 finished in the top 5. Cherry Wine might have been the other one that I considered. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen to last week's show again. But there was only 13 finishing horses in the race, and the favored horse finished 11 out of 13. Absolutely crazy, pathetic, weird, and there's your horse racing news for the week. Wow, yeah, all right. So congratulations to Creator once again for winning this year's Belmont Stakes. All right, let's move over to soccer news because I'm pretty sure that championship was going on today. Okay, that's what it is. It's just the group stage of the 2016 UEFA European Championship going on. That's what I seen on the TV today. Okay, and France apparently defeated Albania in that match to reach the round of 16 or whatever it is here. Yes, to reach the last 16. So Albania is out and France advances. Boom, soccer news. All right, enough of that. And let's get to our final topic of the day before Ball's deep thought of the day. And that brings us to the NFL. Not a whole lot to talk about. My and possibly your Minnesota Vikings currently in OTAs. Everybody's raving apparently about Cordero Patterson and the way he looks. Be interesting to see if he continues to impress, what his role would be and how that changes the look of the wide receiver core. One thing, in my opinion, is certain, however, is that the wide receiver core, to a smaller extent, is in the same boat as the offensive line. We've got a bunch of players brought in to compete. Not all of them are going to stay on the team. I think either Charles Johnson or Cordero Patterson will not be on this team's 53-man roster come opening day, week 1 of the regular season, because Treadwell has to have a spot. Wright has a spot, just got the big contract last year in the slot. Diggs, obviously. Thielen with all he contributes on special teams. I really don't see where both Charles Johnson and Cordero Patterson make this team. And right now I would say that, Cordero as a kick returner then offers you more ways to contribute than Charles Johnson does, and I look for Charles Johnson to not make this team. Now, looking at the offensive line, we've got 17 offensive linemen, and it is currently the highest paid offensive line in all of professional football. Guys who don't win spots are going to be gone. To me, those primary people who may not be on the team at all on the offensive line that are on the team right now would be Brandon Fusco, Andre Smith, Phil Lodo. Those are your top 3 names right there. Maybe Mike Harris's name gets thrown into that ring. It appears that Sullivan is healthy. If Sullivan is healthy, to me, then him and Joe Berger should both be starting on the offensive line at center and at right guard. However, it works out best between the two who's where. I would assume Sullivan would stay at center and Berger would go to right guard. However, I could understand, from having played both positions myself in my life with some degree of success, I could see where with Sullivan's history of back and neck issue and injury that it would be more sensible for him to play guard and not center, where you've constantly got your neck and head down and you're have the responsibility to snap that ball and get back up and make your block and get into position in time and stuff. I could see where right guard may make a little more sense for him from a health, durability, and risk standpoint, but I don't know how good he is at playing that position. Berger seems to be really good and productive no matter where you put him in that interior of the offensive line, whether it be center, left guard, or right guard. So again, to me, if Fusco does not win that starting right job, he's got to be gone. He has no value as depth, being only able to play really one position, that being specifically right guard. He can't even play left guard, let alone center or left tackle or right tackle. If he could play left guard, we wouldn't have signed Alex Boone. So, to me, he's the top, not only that I want to see go, but it just, if you look at it unbiasedly, it makes the most sense. We'd gain the most from a salary cap and who gets paid how much if he wasn't to win the job and we were able to get rid of him. And I very much believe that whoever doesn't win the job between Andre Smith and Phil Loadholt for the starting position will also be gone. Drafting Willie Beavers in the fourth round, you don't take a tackle in the fourth round of the draft if you don't plan on him making your team. And I don't know that he's the type of guy that you can put on a practice squad just with the level of demand that there is for a person of his size and potential at his position. So he could eat up one of the depth spots and cost a much more deserving, capable of contributing guy his spot. But hopefully Beavers doesn't make the 53-man roster but is able to get on the practice squad roster. We can hang on to that and see if we've got anything there. But Loadholt or Andre Smith, one of those two will not be on the final 53-man opening day roster, as well as, in my opinion, Fusco. However, if Fusco is to win that job, then I would think maybe Mike Harris would be the cut victim, another one who I would think is immune somewhat based off of his youth. The experience that he does have last year and his position flexibility would be TJ Clemmings. By all estimates, he can play 4 out of the 5 positions on your line, all except center. Plus, like I said, his youth, his potential. He started all 16 games last year, albeit he got burnt quite a bit over there on right tackle. He played pretty good quite a bit, too, that people just want to forget and overlook. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Do not expect more than 9 people. There will be a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 9 offensive linemen on this final roster, and currently there are 17. So people are going to get cut, and once starting roles are defined, if you're making a lot of money, if you're making more money than a backup is supposed to make, you will be gone. You will no longer be on this roster. And I fully expect that to be Fusco and probably Andre Smith. I have this sneaky suspicion that Smith is nothing, and that we're going to end up being stuck with Loadholt or Clemmings over there at right tackle. And Clemmings might not be that bad of an option, actually, even though a lot of people, fellow Vikings fans, don't feel that way. In our last bit of Vikings-related news, make sure, as always, to visit VikingsDigitalDiaries.com each and every week to check out who I'm interviewing. I get to interview current members of the team, whether it be players, coaching staff, you name it. I get to interview former players and members of the team as well. I get to interview other media-savvy experts, and that is exactly what I'm going to be having this week, where I get to interview Star Tribune Minnesota Vikings beat writer Matt Vensel, and really try to get a good understanding of what the Vikings are looking like and shaping up to be at this point in OTAs, moving into this upcoming 2016 and 2017 NFL season. So can't wait to get Matt Vensel, beat writer from the Star Tribune's take on all things Viking this week on VikingsDigitalDiaries.com. All right, and that actually brings us to the end of this week's Balls Deep Sports Talk podcast. And so that means it is time for our Balls Deep thought of the day. And this week we'll have a real quick balls deep thought of the day here, but it brings us back to the world of baseball, actually, which we neglected a lot on tonight's show. So there you go, Mr. Clean. Happy birthday. Would love your feedback on our balls deep thought of the day. If you want to join Mr. Clean and give me feedback on balls deep thought of the day, please do so. It would just, you have no idea how happy it would make me. And how you would do that is by tweeting me at BDST Show or sending me a message on Facebook. Simply search Scotty-Ball. But this week's balls deep thought of the day brings us back to an actual baseball news note that I didn't mention in the baseball segment, and the thought that we have coming out of it. And it just so happens